Are you tired of spending your time and money chasing strategy after strategy only to discover what worked 10, 5, or even 2 years ago is not working now? Things shift fast in the online space, and if you're not keeping up, you're getting left behind. It's time for something different. Welcome to the Marketing, Media, and Money Podcast, where every single episode will be jam-packed with proven, profitable strategies, behind-the-scenes secrets, and what's working now resources from industry experts and global influencers to help you scale your business, shorten your learning curve, and stand out in a crowded, noisy marketplace. And now, your host, award-winning marketing and media strategist, and international speaker, Patty Farmer.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Marketing, Media, and Money Podcast. I'm your host, Patty Farmer, and I'm looking forward to sharing another industry expert with you. And today we're going to be talking about the importance of being you, right? The best you, the best version of you. And I know this last year has been volatile, and some of us are even wondering who we even are these days. But today we're going to talk about it, and we have an expert with us that's going to break it down for you, inspire you, and motivate you, and you are going to be so much more excited about being you and finding your voice and your true self. So I want to introduce you today to Dr. Natalie Forest. She's an intuitive transformational mentor. She's on a mission to guide you back to you so you can know, love, and embrace yourself. Why? So that you can live your life your way instead of existing in a world where you are unhappy and stressed. Natalie's also the VP of Operations of the Los Angeles Tribune, where she works on creating a movement of collaboration and empowerment that is open to all and applicable to all. She is, in more ways than one, a revolutionary. And I love that. People call me a visionary, revolutionary. I love that. Welcome to the show, Natalie.
Thanks for having me, Patty. I'm excited to be here with you.
I'm really excited too. And you know, I have to tell you, I've known you for more years than I can remember. And in so many ways, we have collaborated on this and collaborated on that and done a little bit of this and done a little bit of that. And, you know, I know we're going to get into it in a few minutes talking about the Los Angeles Tribune. We just talked about it a little bit in your bio, but I have to say, I'm super excited to be sharing the virtual stage, right, this month.
Yeah,
for the Los Angeles Tribune Quantum Leap Forum. And I'm very, very excited. We have some amazing names that we'll be sharing the stage with. So I appreciate that. But I really love that your vision and your mission with that is really all about collaboration. So before we really talk about that, I know everyone wants to hear about the Los Angeles Tribune, but let's kind of backtrack just a little bit, because you are kind of complex in the sense that, like me, that's the revolutionary part of you, right? We serve in more ways than one, right? There's our hands, our mind are in a lot of different things, because even though I do believe that, you know, you can kind of go off into, you know, la la land and squirrel, right? But sometimes you serve in this way and you can do multiple things but still stay in your lane serving. I mean, people say to me all the time, oh my gosh, Patty, like you do so many things. And I'm like, no, I really just do marketing and media. I just do marketing and media in a multitude of ways. And so I know you are like that too. So before we really start on the importance of being you, I don't think you got there without there being a little bit of a journey to get there. So why don't you share with us a little bit of your story and the journey that got you to where you know that what you're doing right now is where you're supposed to be?
That is a great question, and I don't want to take up the whole space with the story. So I'll give you the short version. And it is fascinating because I'm going to start by saying things happen for a reason, and sometimes they have to germinate until they come to full fruition. And I think that's, you know, like with you and me, it's been, we knew it, and now there's the time. And so my story is sort of like that. There are two main aspects to me. One is I am me, like it or leave it. And so everything that I do is connected to my mission, which is really, in a nutshell, to, let's just say, help 1 million people to be themselves and live their lives their way.
Oh, let's
And
just
life-
say that. Let's
Yeah,
just say that. Help
that.
a million people.
Yeah, it's like, don't make it too big. But it comes from my own experience because I believe that we are all on a mission. We're all here for a reason. And so we just got to figure out what that reason is. I was born a teacher. When I came out the womb, I knew I was going to be a teacher. And of course, normally that means you're going to be a teacher at a school. And that's exactly where I went. So I was a college teacher for a long time, and I loved it because you have a captive audience. And even though I was supposed to be teaching history, that's my PhD, it was really more about life skills and helping them see what they can do with their lives. Until one day, a friend of mine said, enough. You need to get out of the classroom. That's your safe space. Get uncomfortable. And I started doing that. Now, mind you, I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. That was the last thing on my mind I ever wanted. I'm German, and not everybody in Germany is an entrepreneur. But from there it started. The journey then became trying to figure out how to package or wrap a nice bow around all the things that I can do. And there were shortfalls. There were pathways that I took and had to realize, no, that's not me. Had some great mentors that led me down a direction. And a year later, after spending money and time, I was like, no, that's not working for me. No. And I had to, rechange. That all helped me though. So I'm grateful for every experience. That all helped me until I finally got a mentor who seemed to really understand me. And we worked on things together. And, my books got published that way. And it was really the idea of what I do is revolutionary. We have a lot of people in the self-help industry who have tools, who give you things. And they usually start out by saying, you're broken. There's something wrong with you. Well, I don't believe that. I believe we're all not broken. I believe we're all perfect. Therefore, right there, that's a little bit of a revolutionary, not to mention my life in general. And so from there, I created my own company, couple different names. Now it's under Natalie Forest International, where I really, because of my spiritual insights, help people reconnect with who they are. There's so many layers of social conditioning that have stopped us from realizing that. And that goes with the idea that if you say, I love myself, people call you narcissistic, which is really, really, excuse my language, stupid. And so from there, then I just explore different avenues in which I can do my work. And it was initially with a couple of big groups like the Women of Global Change. I'm an advisor for Dominant Force, which is connected with helping high school students, especially those who don't have a home. And then I ended up reconnecting with an amazing person named Mo Rock, actually last year. And he just said, why don't you write a column for us? And of course, I was like, cool, because him and I, we had one of those connections. I did for my previous TV show. I scheduled an interview with him. We did the first one. It didn't record. We did the second one. This sound was blasted. We did the third one, and finally it worked. And based on these reconnections, he just invited me to be a columnist. Then we talked a little bit, and we decided to do an event. And from there, everything is just moving in that direction where now I'm in a position where I can help with my business as well as with the Los Angeles Tribune. People share their light, shine their light. And if they don't want to be in the limelight, which sometimes can be tricky, then they can get the tools they need to still, in life, in business, just be happy and forget about all the stresses that are often really superimposed. I guess that's a long story.
No, I really do love that though, because I want to go back to what you were saying about who you are, because really who you are at the core, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes we don't know that. Like we have to do all these things, like what you said, we hire this person, that person. And while it may not have always worked to get you to where you wanted to go, it did get you enough that you questioned it enough to know that now I need this, right? And now I need this. And so I think that is interesting when you said that you believe that we're perfect. Well, I mean, I think really honestly, we are perfectly where we need to be right now, right? Yep. We're perfectly where we need to be. And it's always like progress, not perfection. But the reality is you are. It's like even when you find your perfect spouse, right? People say all the time, oh, my husband isn't perfect. I've said it, I don't know how many times. My husband's not perfect, but he's perfect for me, exactly. Right? And I'm sure he thinks the same thing. I'm not perfect, right? But I believe that I am perfectly imperfect for him. right? And so I think that the same thing is in business, right? Not always, people try to seek that perfection. They don't produce content because they want it to be perfect. They don't make a video, which I've been guilty of this, because they want it to be perfect. They don't write their book because they want it to be perfect. But the reality is people don't resonate with people who are perfect because they know they're not, right? What they want to know, and this is one of the things too from a marketing, and I know you're going to agree with me on this because we've talked about it, but the reality is, so many people want to be so perfect with their titles, and I'm a this, that, but the reality is people don't hire you for that. Right. They don't hire you for what you did. They hire you for what knowledge do you have that you can help me get the results that I want to get. That's what I love about the revolutionary, because, you're going about it differently, right? Because really we resonate with people because of who they are. Right. Right. And so I think that it is important for you to be that. I tell people all the time that I really resonate with people who are rebels, mavericks, and the people who want to do it their way. That's me. Right. Yeah. And I like working with them. I love that. And I know part of that, why I love working with women a lot, is because I have 6 daughters and I come from a family of all girls. Well, I do have one brother, the baby, but I mean, really, we had all these 5, right? So I've been surrounded by girls and women my whole life, and I love it, right? And I believe they have a voice and they should be able to use their voice, right? So I've always been very impactful in that way. So when I see someone who's a revolutionary, as you're, and says, no, this is really, I say, shift your thinking, right? That to me, when you get to a point where you can say, this is who I am, this is how I'm choosing to serve, that's just not shifting your mindset. To me, that's a CEO mindset. That's what I call that. That's a CEO mindset. When you realize you own your calendar, right? You own your time. People say, oh, I couldn't do this. No, when you're the CEO, you own that, like step into that and embrace it in all of that. So I love that so much. I love your story. I think everybody who's listening probably has a story similar to that in how they became, if they are. So if the listeners out there are where they know they were meant to be, they have a story to get there too. We very rarely, wake up and say, oh, this is what I'm doing. Even when you said you knew you were going to teach, but you thought that meant be a teacher, right? And you are still a teacher and you are still teaching, but you're doing it in a way that's uniquely perfect for you. So I love that. And I commend you for that. And it's inspiring. So.
Well, thank you. I want to throw one thing in. I did not come up with the term revolutionary. That was actually something I was doing an interview years ago, just when I had started my first business. And at the end of that interview, somebody asked that question, do you consider yourself a revolutionary? It had never occurred to me because everything that I do makes perfect sense to me. Right. It's like, no, of course I go down that road. And so when she asked me that question, it was like, and I had all those flashbacks to my life, not that I was dying, but that's why I kept that. I've changed, the motto and the tagline over the years, but the revolutionary has stayed because it is so important that we understand who we are at a core. And my mom actually at one point said, well, that's a bit much. And in red, that feels like blood. And I'm like, well, a revolution can be, smiling at somebody who's never smiled at you. So it doesn't have to be bloody. I mean,
I think there is that when you think about it. I mean, when you think about it, it is. I remember when the first time somebody told me that I was a visionary, I was like, what? Like it was hard to step into that, right? But then when you break it down by definition of what it actually really means, right? And, yesterday I did a podcast interview and I interviewed Michelle Bridger, and she said something that really stuck with me, which really kind of talks about this. And one of the things she said is when people are out there putting out content, whether it's with Facebook ads, which is what she does, or no matter what you're doing, whether you're blogging or you're on a podcast or you're speaking and, you're writing your content, she said that the number one way that you write content that will resonate with your audience is to look at the testimonials you get, look at the way people describe you, and what words are they using. So if somebody else said to you revolutionary, it might not have ever been a word that you would have thought of, but you stepped into it. And really, that's when I knew too. Like I started thinking, oh, well, that's kind of interesting because we don't always see ourselves that way, but other people do. But if other people do, and they are your ideal clients, well, then you should use those words because that's how they're going to find you, right? So I say embrace your revolutionary. So that's what I'm going to say.
Absolutely.
Embrace that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So now let's talk about the importance of being you. So let's just talk about that not in general, but really specific. And really, like, if you're not embracing it and living you just can't be happy and successful. So talk about how the correlation of those things really affect our life and thus our business too.
Yeah, so let's start with life, because a lot of people forget that entrepreneurs, CEOs are also people, right? I always love that we're doing business coaching and then we're doing life coaching, but it really is holistically one. If you're doing one, you're doing the other. So if you're not happy, it's always easy to blame other people. However, you're really just pushing the blame over. Therefore, it starts with you. Who are you? What are you doing in your own life? And most of the time, we do routines and we're acting in social conditioned ways. That means we're going to work, we're doing this, well, we're having a job. Let's just start there. We're having a job that we're supposed to do because we have to pay our bills. And because mom and dad said that they have an accounting family, therefore we also need to be an accountant. Right there, you might not be happy as an accountant. Maybe you want to be an artist. So that is lingering in you, whether you're fully aware of it or not. And that is the subconscious mind. It's really keeping you stressed and unhappy right there. Or if you're giving into the pressures of, I'm turning 28 and I'm a woman, I need to get married ASAP. If you're in a marriage and it's not happy and you're staying because what would it look like if I left? All of those things, there's so much fear created. And I talk about fear a lot. That is really unreasonable. It's something that society has instilled in us. So we're afraid of getting to know ourselves because we have been led to believe that we are bad, not perfect. We are broken. And once we realize that we are perfect, we have black and white, yin and yang, we have all of those things. Maybe there are things that you did when you were younger that you don't ever want to do again, but they're still part of you. They got you to where you are. Your broken marriage got you to where you are. My exploration with coaches got me to where I am. I needed all of those stepping stones to realize who I am.
Yes, and I think a lot of times it's all about really a choice because, people have had terrible things happen. I know people who've had, horrific things happen to them. But you know what? I know people who've had horrific things happen to them and it broke them. They just couldn't deal with it. And I've had people who've had even more horrific things happen to them and they let that spur them on. And I think it all starts with that decision, right? And maybe you can't do it by yourself and you're going to need help with somebody, right? I'm a total advocate for that. I know when I got divorced, I went to therapy. I'm an advocate for that. And it totally helped me. I didn't have to do it for very long. As a matter of fact, they actually kicked me out and said I didn't need to be there anymore. It was just nice paying somebody to listen to you. That was before I found a coach. I was like, I was using that therapist as a coach. And then I realized, I just really need a coach. But with that said, it can either stagnate you or it can really inspire you. And a lot of times it's the things that have happened to us in life, whether they're, horrific or just, maybe some things that, you're not proud of, whatever the case may be. Those are the things that will inspire you to serve someone else that could make those changes. I know that, I don't know if you know, but most of the people who know me know, I was a victim of domestic violence when I was younger. I'm married to my husband now for 25 years and he's my best friend. I'm happy. But in my younger days, that was something that was horrific and happened to me and stuff. And I knew that this was not going to be my story and I wasn't going to let it be a story that would carry on to my children. And I made that decision, but it could have broken me, but it didn't. I was very strong and I was like, no, you could hit me, but you're not going to break me. Right. But I think that, there's a lot of different ways. And I didn't really tell that story too much. And I've been a speaker for 10 years. And about 2 years ago, somebody said to me, how come you never share that story? And I said, well, it's not a marketing strategy, right? It's not in marketing. It's not a marketing strategy. However, she said, but somebody listening to you might hear that story and it might inspire them to make a different decision. And I never thought about it. So really what you need to know is the things that happen to us, everything happens for a reason. You said that in the beginning. However, what we don't always realize is sometimes the reason doesn't have anything to do with us. Sometimes the reason is that you're going to share it or something's going to happen and you're going to make a change in somebody else's life. And that was the reason. Sometimes it's bigger than us, right? So I think that is really a powerful thing. So Natalie, how do you feel you can achieve your dreams? So like we all have these dreams, we all aspire for certain things and we all want to be happy, like you said, and be successful. So really that's all about, dreams that we want or desire. Right. How do you feel you can really achieve those?
Well, first you got to be you and you got to know what your dreams are. So you really got to go within and say, what do I want? Just like you need to outline, how do I define success? For somebody, success might be $1 million. For somebody else, success might be being the best baker in the house. You have to define what your success is. Once you know what you want, what you like to do, and what your goal is, you start moving towards that and you start getting the help, you start getting the surroundings that you need to make that happen, okay? And that sounds easy, and it is once you've made that choice. I always say the first step to freedom is when you begin this work. The first step is a little harder because you got to look around and you got to go, okay, do I really want to change all this? And then that instilled fear kicks in for a moment. But other than that, once you're on that road, it's just like the first step. And from there, you just start moving. When you love yourself, when you believe in yourself, and this is not just hocus pocus, things start happening. I mean, when I divorced my first husband and I moved out, I was in a country that was not my home country. I had no family. I took all of our cats with me, and I should not have been able to pay my bills. But I did. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any logical sense, but I did. So it's like things will come your way because now you're in alignment. It's sort of like you're in alignment with yourself and your higher self, and then things start happening.
I always like to say, you can't manifest or put out to the universe until you make a decision. There was this time before my husband and I moved back to Dallas, and we were kind of trying to decide if we were going to come back here or go somewhere else. And we literally, my husband just couldn't make a decision. Like I already was like, what? He was just like, he just couldn't get on board with it. Sometimes he was, sometimes he wasn't. And he said, why do you think that, I've been putting out for this and I'm putting out for that? Why do you think it's not happening? I just don't understand. And I said, I try really hard not to coach my husband, to be his coach. And I said, are you open to receive? I mean, is that a question? And he's like, well, yeah. And I said, well, I believe that the reason why is because you haven't made the decision. Once you make the decision and put it out to the universe, then it can manifest and it will happen. But it's not going to happen and you're still wishy-washy. Like make the decision. And he kind of thought about it for a couple of days, and that's kind of how my husband is. And he kind of, simmered on that. And he came back. He's like, Patty, I think you're absolutely right. And then we sat down. He made the decision like a week later. Like he got this really great job offer to come back, and and everything just kind of lined up. And then here we are. We've been back for 3 years, and we got here's our plan and stuff. So I think a lot of times if you're wishy-washy, you're thinking, why is nothing happening? Well, a lot of that could be, I mean, sometimes things happen. We get it. It's not always the case. But I think a lot of times the case is because you haven't really got clear on what you really want, right?
Absolutely.
Once you're clear on, no, this is what I want, you can't really start. It's kind of like when people mind map, right? Well, first you got to know what you want. And then, and if it's like business and you're like, oh, I want to put on an event. Well, if you've never put on an event before, you can want that all you want. But first you got to say, oh, I make the decision. I'm putting on this event. Oh, well, what am I going to need? Oh, well, maybe I need to hire this, and maybe I need to bring in this, and maybe I need a copywriter, and maybe I need this. But you can't even know what the things you need until you've decided what it is you want. So a lot of times it's making the decision. But I do think it's like what you said, you've got to know that, like, where are you stuck? And then you've got to have a plan.
Yeah.
But before we move forward with that, I actually thought of something because, this revolutionary you are, we all sometimes get stuck. So would you would you be willing to share something like what was an obstacle, a blind spot, roadblock, somewhere where you got stuck and you were scared, but you did it anyway. You had to overcome it. You kind of just alluded to it a little bit when you left your husband, but really honestly, what was that biggest thing for you that you were scared, you did it anyway, right? But it could have really been a roadblock because a lot of times we do get in our own way. for sure. We are the biggest roadblock.
No, absolutely. And, I'm trying to think of something big. I think, leaving my home country, that was big.
Yeah, that's big.
Getting over here, marrying somebody, divorcing somebody. I think all of those are big. However, the biggest, and that's what I work on all the time, is the subconscious mind. So the best example that I have for roadblocks are those moments where you're standing somewhere and you're like, why is this not working? Sort of like what you said, why is this not working? And I remember actually standing in this office, whatever, like 10 years ago, just had opened a business, was doing well, had good clients. However, I wasn't able to pay my bills. And this is like one of those classic examples. I'm like, okay, this is just weird. I know I'm helping people. I'm getting great testimonials. They're finding themselves. They're moving on. What in heaven's name is going on? And then I heard my mother's voice, like in the back of my mind. And my mother's voice was talking to my brother and myself saying, I want you to be able to survive on little. And I went, what? Which is a great thing, right? I'm not materialistic. My brother's neither. So we're not materialistic. We can survive by being dishwashers if we have to. That's not an issue for us. We don't think anybody's better than another. But standing here, hearing that voice, I suddenly realized what I was doing. I was blocking myself from receiving the money that I needed, not just to pay my bills, but also to expand my mission. Because if I can't pay my bills and if I don't have money to give to charity, then what am I doing? So that was like a big aha moment for me and really got me to investigating the subconscious mind so much more, because sometimes it is, like you said, we're just not making a decision. And sometimes it's something way back there that we observed, that we heard. Doesn't have to be anything negative at the time, but it's something that stuck with us and that we interpreted a certain way. And that sometimes is the biggest block.
It was really funny because I kind of had that block a little bit early on too. But one of the things that I really learned is when you do well, you can do good. Like if you're barely making it, it's not about being materialistic, but you can't help other people if you're still trying to figure out how to keep the lights on. I always like to say it's hard to be the light of the world when you're trying to put your own lights on, right? So when you do well, you can do good. And I think that, it's a philosophy I embrace and I love it. So now let's talk about the Los Angeles Tribune. I know everybody has been, from the minute we started talking about that, they do want to talk about it. So the Los Angeles Tribune, let's first talk about the Quantum Leap Forum. I'm excited that I'm going to be speaking. We've got some other amazing people that we're going to be sharing the stage with. Why don't you tell us a little bit about them and really what is the Quantum Leap Forum about? And we will make sure, just so everybody knows, that we have the link to it where you can attend for free, right? Where they can attend for free to make sure they do. And I'm going to tell you, the lineup is amazing, and I'm so honored to be a part of it. So tell us about it, how it came about, and who some of the people are that are going to be this time. Then we'll talk about the future, but let's just talk about this one right now.
Well, absolutely. And I'm excited too, because it's one of the avenues that with the Los Angeles Tribune and with the vision that MoRock has, we can actually do. We did this event at end of September last year. We just said, let's try it because we're really trying to reach everybody. The Los Angeles Tribune is, 1861 Los Angeles historic magazine. And now we're expanding it to really be a global movement to incorporate everybody, in addition to still being based in Los Angeles. So we did this event. And we had people that we just reached out to people. We said, hey, Sharon Lecter, are you willing to join us? Hey, David Meltzer. And they're like, yeah, sure. 15, 30 minutes, no problem. It's for free. Yes, of course. So we immediately aligned with people who also want to give. And so that was a huge event for us, live streamed, 20,000 viewers at any given time during the event. It was amazing. And based on that, we said, okay, it works. We had to try it out first. So now we are going to have 4 events each year. And the first one is the Quantum Leap Forum, because we realized we, after COVID, have to do a quantum leap. We got to push everybody. It's no longer just step. We got to push. And so this one is really about creating and maintaining success in life and business, speaking to the individual and speaking to the entrepreneur and providing them with hands-on tips. We have 2 days again. Day 2 is going to be a little bit different because we're also having a pitch event on day 2. So anybody who's never pitched, who's never tried for funding, that will be a great time for them to check it out. There are going to be a lot of investors. Day 1 and part of day 2 is all about providing that value. And it's just the first thing that we're doing. We're going to have one in early, let's say May, June. We haven't quite narrowed down the date yet. But this one we've been so fortunate. These great people, Sharon, of course, is back. We've got David back. They're going to talk about collaboration and marketing. Then we have you and Domingo Silva talking about marketing in the modern world. It's a very different ballgame. And then we have other amazing people such as Kevin Harrington, James Malinchek. I'm running out of names.
Dr.
And of
Joe.
course, Dr. Joe. I'm going to say, well, Dr. Joe is actually, we're honoring Dr. Joe because his life's work is so amazing. He is going to receive a Lifetime Achievement Award, which we're not giving out to everybody. Okay, so just saying that. We also have, and I was holding this name for like the end, Lisa Nichols, who is going to be joining us for a little bit. She is, I believe, right now still in Jamaica, but she's going to join us at least for a little bit. So we've got all of these people coming together to share value. And there are also other panels on different subjects, whether it is mindset, whether it's being a woman and entrepreneur. So there's a lot that is going to be going on. Mo Rock, Goldilocks, and myself, we're the hosts for this. And we're going to try and keep it moving and interesting. It's going to be on StreamYard. So that means it's going to be live on all of our platforms. And we want people to interact with us. We actually pull in comments. And if you have a question, we will try and pull the question in. Why do you need to register? Because you mentioned that people can register for this event. It's free, it's live streamed, but only if you register are you eligible to receive some of the free gifts that our experts and sponsors are actually providing. So that's the difference between just jumping on or registering.
Oh,
and
I think that's
could not
important.
be more excited. Yeah, I could not be more excited because all these people are coming on, and then some people who are lesser known, but who have just as important a message. So it'll be really, it's coming together, and I just started reaching out to people, and everybody has been amazing in getting back. So
I think a lot of times when you're successful, we always want to give back, right? And so giving back when somebody isn't even charging is really good. Like I love philanthropy and I love to be able to give back, right? And so, in the spirit of collaboration, right? And empowering, right? Really empowering people to really inspire them to take action. That is really important. So I love being a part of this Quantum Leap. And while we can't give everybody all the details now, so we can just little sneak peek, Marketing Media Money is very, very excited to be in the process of forming, for lack of a better term, some type of alliance. And we can't give too much away. We can't give too much away. You'll have to stay tuned, but really collaborating with the Los Angeles Tribune. And you'll hear more about it later. You'll definitely hear more about it in the next issue of the Marketing Media Money magazine, and then moving forward. So we're going to be talking about you, talking about Mo Rock, and talking about the Los Angeles Tribune a lot. So get used to it. So this could be a really great alliance, and we'll be able to serve more and serve bigger. And I really love that. And with a spirit of that, you actually just decided to start with that, and you actually brought a gift for the audience. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the gift?
Well, it's a very simple gift. It's a little journal that addresses one of the things I mentioned earlier, the stuff in the back of your head. It's just a little journal that guides you through the first steps on how to identify some of what I call your hidden patterns. And once you take that step, you're able to understand why you are where you are in your life right now, why some things are going on, and how you can redefine yourself, re-embrace yourself. Early steps. It's not going to be the whole enchilada, but early steps to get you on the road. And as I always say, it's just the first step, and then you can move forward.
I love that. We're going to make sure that the link to get that gift is here in the show notes. So make sure that you grab that as well. And Natalie, how could people connect with you? I know they're going to want to connect with you. So what is the best way for them to do that?
I think the best way is my website. Really, really difficult. It's my name. So it's natalieforest.com. 1 R, 1 S, 1 T. It's just like the woods. natalieforest.com. And, there you got my email, you got most information. Some is being updated as we all evolve, but I'd love to hear from you.
That is awesome. So here at the Marketing, Media, Money podcast, one of the things we really want to make sure that we do is that while you have been so generous and shared so much information, and I love that and appreciate it so much, Natalie, we always like to say that we really want to make sure that we are giving you strategies that you can take away. So when you're done listening, probably the greatest thing I would ever hear is if somebody said, "Oh, Patty, when we were listening to your podcast, as soon as your guests got done, they told us such a great nugget. We went and implemented it right away." I love that. So this is why we have the #1 marketing, media, money strategy. We ask our guests to share what that is for them so we can pass it on to you. So Natalie, what is the #1 marketing, media, and money strategy?
I believe it is very simple. It's saying yes to opportunities when your instinct agrees with it, and really collaboration and partnerships. Find people to surround yourself with that you can collaborate with, that you can partner with, and then more opportunities will come up. Try all of them out. You can always later say, this didn't work. Yes to opportunities, because that is important when you're trying to find your way, make your mark, and collaborate and partner, because we can't do it alone.
I love that. Thank you so much for being here with me today, Natalie. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you to my audience. And I want to make sure that we say thank you to our sponsor, the Exacta Corporation. They are the developer of the Family Organizer Plus platform, and you can learn more about them at exactacorp.com. And to the audience, thank you so much for joining us today on the Marketing, Media, Money podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, and I am sure you did, please like, subscribe, and review the podcast on your favorite listening platform. Make sure to join us over in the Marketing, Media, Money Facebook group. You can find us there. And until then, we will see you on the next episode. Thank you so much. Have a phenomenal day. And remember, if your day isn't phenomenal, you have the power to change it.
Thank you for joining us today on the Marketing, Media, and Money podcast. To shorten your learning curve even more, make sure to grab your free copy of the Marketing, Media, and Money magazine at www.marketingmediamoney.com. I promise your business will thank you.